I'll just try to give you some tips on business development of free-to-play games. I'll start with some intro of our company because I guess that this will help you understand from where I'm coming, my background. I'm 7 years part of the company, Imperia Online, which is the biggest Bulgarian developer of free-to-play games. And we are 15 years on the market, the past 2 years part of Stillfront Group, the biggest European group of developers that are still independent, like Good Game Studios, Bytro, Stormmate recently joined, Candy Writer, Playa Games, and so on. All of us, we try to stick to the hardcore audience with MMO games, mostly free-to-play. So our partners are quite a lot for so many years on the market, and I will try not to stop on the obvious game portals that you've seen, like Miniclip, Spiel Games, or others that you would find just on the first click and search when you go and search for where to place your games. Of course, I will try to give you ideas of out-of-the-box partners. For example, even our payment providers like ADN, PayPal, and others, they're also partners in terms of providing traffic, because sometimes they make email campaigns of all of the companies that are partnering with them, giving offers to all of their customers, and they, even when you go to your PayPal account, you can see a page with offers, and that's where we've placed quite like 2 or 3 times our banners of Imperia Online, and it was a quite nice partnership, I would say, something that you wouldn't think the first time when you start thinking of all kinds of biz dev deals. So first tip that I would say is important is to start with some kind of using some kind of strategic planning tools. I won't go into much detail of the SWOT analysis. I think everybody, if you have used one, and it's not that maybe important to give details on that one. But let's see, for example, pest analysis for my country, Bulgaria, for our company, Imperia Online. Yeah, I passed one slide. The political factor for us as a country is that we are part of the NATO, European Union, which gives us lots of opportunities to do business in Europe, and yeah, to have access to all kinds of deals quite easily in terms of taxes and so on. The economic factor is that the currency is pegged to euro, which is quite nice. We don't have any kind of fluctuations. There is a 10% corporate tax and 20% VAT. That's why lots of companies are actually looking into Bulgaria as a possibility to open their companies in our country. And it's quite easy actually to establish a new corporation. The social factors are also quite important because culturally Bulgarians are very down to earth, interested in all kinds of high-tech products. The career attitudes recently are that they're coming back to Bulgaria when they finish their studies in universities, and that's how actually we get lots of interns, and some of them start their first jobs in Imperia Online as game designers, producers, and so on, because in Bulgaria we don't have that diversity of specialties in game production, but I would say that in other countries that's quite developed, and we get the best out of the ideas that they gather all this time while studying. Third factor is that actually Bulgaria is on third place of high speed of internet in European Union, and we are on the fifth place with mobile cellular subscriptions. Lots of people are using mobile phones, smartphones, like that's supernatural. More and more people are actually starting to play games, and that's quite normal. And that gives us a great test environment. And the outsourcing industry is growing. Lots of developers that are using the edge of the technology that sometimes want to change their jobs, and they come as senior guys in our company. So this can give you an idea of what we have as opportunities in Bulgaria. But when you use a strategic tool like the competitive analysis, you have to determine first very carefully the companies that you're comparing with. For example, you have to take into account their industry, from which country they're coming, their customers, and what benefits they expect. Also, the key strengths like price, service, convenience. For example, our monetization is based only on in-app purchases. We don't have any ads. So this kind of revenue stream from ads in game is not something that we use. And if you compare to somebody that is talking, let's say we compare to an MMO with only in-app purchase, not that many in-app purchases, but ads, it won't make sense. The profiling is also important. Look into Crunchbase, their background, how many years they're on the market, if they have investors, funds behind their back, how many people they are. Do they do the marketing by themselves? How many offices they have? This kind of information is also important, because if you compare to a company of senior people, 20 years on the market, the benefits that all of the customers expect, also how the companies that you compare with are doing their strategies, financials, for example, because Imperia Online, we don't have chief financial officer, for example, but lots of people are involved in the financials. We also have an affiliate system that's real-time system, and help us a lot in terms of all these revenue share biz dev deals. It's quite easy to get new partners and start working with them. My second tip is to do a research in terms of all kinds of site check ideas. For example, we use free versions of Alexa, SimilarWeb, also company information, getting it from Google, LinkedIn, Wikipedia, and it's important to actually compare this information. Sometimes it's outdated in some of the websites, and what we do is that we start site check by country. For example, from SimilarWeb, we see the top websites, and sometimes the first time you see that news sites, dating sites, and all kinds of websites that people prefer to look into that country, you think, oh, these are not the right partners for me. But then you start to think why people are going to those websites every day. So that's where they would be happy to see new content, new game, and it totally makes sense to even offer a new site to open a new section, game section, if they don't have it. You can even give examples of other new sites that already did it, and that's part of actually our biz dev job. And of course, there are lots of contacts coming randomly from conferences that we attend, articles that we read, social media groups, forums, and yeah, even our community managers are helping with this, because they ask the players which are their preferred websites in their country. And Sometimes we didn't find those websites from our researches, so it's really helpful. And we also ask them which are the game portals that they want. They would go, for example, in Latvia or in Moldova. It's quite different, actually, country by country, and we do that because our games are translated in 30 languages, so it's not the same like you would do it for the States or for Bulgaria. And when we go into contact, we should be prepared for, yeah, negotiations that won't necessarily end up with a deal. Only 5% become new partners of 100 negotiations with a signed NDA and start of some kind of discussion on the BizDev terms. And we actually go into these 100 negotiations out of thousands of contacts. Sometimes contacts even don't reply. I'm just talking about the 100 ones that replied. So you can imagine that's quite hard to be a biz dev and to be motivated all the time. My third tip is to find the right contacts in order not to lose time. People from different organization levels would ask you different kind of things. Business developers would be asking for KPIs, numbers, in order to have a nice case scenario and to go to the CEO. Look at this deal, it's amazing. And they want some kind of verification if this would be a good deal. But the CEOs, founders, they would ask you lots of financial questions. How was the revenue last year? Like, they want to see the big picture, and you might get confused why they're asking all this information. Sometimes it's better just to invite the chief officer from your company as well. And this way it would go smoothly. If the other side is a technical side, yeah, invite a developer, and this way you would, yeah, go even faster into the communication. Uh, you can use template emails, but customize them with a name. Be very careful when you're using templates because you can make lots of mistakes, actually. And after you send an email, try after that with a call. Yeah, wait 3 or 5 business days, then send a reminder. Sometimes people are very preoccupied on Mondays, or yeah, choose the days carefully. Don't remind them on Friday. They would forget to reply until Monday again. So format your text, look into spell check and all kinds of tools that will help you double read your emails, because the first contact when you're doing this cold calling is quite important, and you would give the wrong impression if you don't look into these details. Develop relationships after that with these contacts. Try to reach them even on Skype, on Facebook, to be friendly with them, because at the end of the day, they would give you more honest replies when you ask them to be featured on top positions on their websites. They would give you the real reasons why they do or don't do that. And you would find yourself even more honest when you're giving them information about tournaments, your games, and so on. Keep your email box empty. This is rule number 1 of sales. At first, you would be like, what, how, why? But then you would see the actual benefit of this. When you have folders, when you actually empty your mailbox, you would feel that you don't have constantly emails that you didn't reply and things that are hanging in your long queue of tasks. You would feel that you're doing constantly good work and you're ticking the tasks, and actually you won't feel stuck in tasks. And I really recommend that to my team. Which business model? Fourth tip, every time start with revenue share, of course. That's my idea, to set up a foundation of non-paid opportunities, affiliate system that we have. It's developing every single month. We're trying to add new and new things in it to help this process. We have licensing deals, distribution deals on RevShare with lots of websites. We make custom presentations in order to concentrate on one or two games for the exact website or partner that we want to attract. Because even if we have more than 20 games, but it doesn't make sense to go with the whole portfolio and to waste time of the partner to go into review of all these games. You have to, this paying attention with selecting the exact games for the partner is also important. Make sure to have your own contract, to have a set of banners that are the ones that everybody use, approved by the EAP organization. Also descriptions of your game, custom landing page that could be customized for this partner very quickly, so that when you sign the deal, you can start very easily and gather information by asking your questions. You have to have a 10 or 15 questions that you want answers to. If they're only asking the questions, it won't make sense for you. And if they're asking too many questions, sign an NDA. Don't share numbers before an NDA. Have your own NDA. All of those media sites, PR materials, articles that you can get interviews are also actually a chance to get revenue share deals and to place your game there. You have to consider them also as partners. Blogs also, and if you have the chance to have your own blog, do that as well. We actually place all kinds of content on our blog. It's not only about the games, but also about conferences and everything. So my fifth tip is to go first with the social networks after you go with all the game portals and obvious websites. Facebook is also perhaps obvious that you can integrate with Facebook games, but you can also do that with other social networks like Odnoklassniki, VKontakte. They have great traffic. And we are long-term partners with all these companies. What's not that obvious is dating websites, as I mentioned before. We partnered in Bulgaria with Almaz, in the past with Mamba. Now we are partnering with Fotostrana. They have an amazing game section where we are very often times featured. What you should take into account here is that they would give you, bring you huge amounts of traffic. Volume will be huge, but the percentage of people that are loyal, staying, passing the tutorial will be smaller than a usual game, than the traffic from a game portal. That's okay because the volume is bigger, and at the end of the day, you would still have a good amount of loyal users. The media sites are also a good opportunity, like Sanoma, the Hungarian news site, also AdSpree, which is ProSieben. We had the TV advertisement combined with the banners on there, more than 3 game portals. Grupa.net, which is a Polish media site, and it's a long-term partner of ours. They have a news site and a separated game portal, but they actually connect them with a really nice banner. And include in this category the sports websites. We started recently partnerships with sport websites in Bulgaria, and since the audience is quite the same, main audience for Imperia Online, it's working. 8th tip, consider the software sites. If you make a client version exe file of your web browser game, that could work. Torrent sites, Softonic is a very popular website, Legitorrent, Soft32, all kinds of downloaders, they also use exe files. And this could give you a whole new stage for your game if you haven't thought about it. What else you can do is, yeah, if you have mobile versions, like ours are native apps for Android, iOS, and even Windows, we started thinking about third-party Android stores. And for some countries, that's actually the only way to go there. Like Iran, we work in Cafe Bazaar, Iran apps, and those partners are quite important for our game. Um, the users are really loyal. They stick to the game, and the community is becoming bigger and bigger. With the time, Samsung, Huawei, Xiaomi, they all have their own app stores. And of course, you can place your game there, but the integration is a bit heavy because you have to integrate their payment system, which is different from Google Payments, Apple Wallet, and so on. But it's okay to spend that time, of course. Recently, I actually saw that Unity are making a solution that could be one integration only for all kinds of stores. They had like 10 stores included, which is really nice. You would, yeah, skip most of those integrations. Other stores that are really nice and you should consider are messengers like Naranja, Kakao Store, um, also Tango, Line, Nimbus, Kik. They all have um, game sections. Viber, even the messenger Viber, they had a game section. After that, Rakuten, the Japanese company that's the owner of Viber, decided to drop this idea. But when we partnered with them, we actually made the full integration. Even the messages inside between the players were through the Viber Messenger, which was amazing. And they were using stickers from the game. We were using Viber purple color, and the game was called Viber Emperors. I think that was an amazing deal, and it's a good example of how it should be actually done when you integrate with that kind of platforms. Telecoms are also an interesting partner. Sometimes they can do massive campaigns of SMSs to their huge audience, and in countries like Saudi Arabia, that's quite popular to download the game from an SMS. Also, what you should consider is to propose them to include your game into their main app, where people actually see their invoices. They look into weather and that kind of information. Every operator has that main app. In that main app, they can have actually an entertainment category, and there they could place games. Sometimes they do, sometimes they might consider doing it in future, but you can open the conversation for this. That's how we did it in Bulgaria, and we have one successful partnership in that direction as well. Pre-installs are also an opportunity with the manufacturers of phones. They could place your game uh, when somebody buys it, and it will have pre-installed apps, and if your game is one of them, it would be amazing. And my final tip is to start your own country as a test environment, even your region. For example, we use Balkans as a test environment, including Romania, Turkey, and so on. Cultural diversification is something quite important that you should be prepared for when you start communications. For example, with Arabic partners, at first they could be slow in responding, but after that, when they reply to you, they expect you to answer immediately, because this will show them respect and that you're very serious about the relationship. Even though if they slow down their replies, you should be quick. And if you can't manage it, just find a local partner. That's how we did it in MENA region. We work with Play Arabi. They work with our Arabic version, Kingdoms Online, in this market, our mobile game. And it's quite nice. They know all the influencers that could be used there, all the media sites that are the best partners. And when you start promoting your game, use a combined approach. All of the things that I mentioned before, like doing campaigns, yeah, try to get a featuring from Google, Apple at the same time, make a TV advertisement, use the telecoms for SMS and so on and so on, and use the influencers. Sometimes influencers are not expecting you to pay them fixed amount of money if they're loyal and fans of your game. Um, that's something that you wouldn't expect probably, but if they really like your game, they would prefer to be long-term partners with you and to get revenue share percentage. And that's quite nice deal. We had 10 influencers in Bulgaria working with us on Imperia Online. And what made the difference was they made the alliances. They invited their fans into the alliances and they played together, which is, yeah, really sticking them into the game after the campaign is over, not just a fixed payment. So that was my presentation. If you want, you can contact me to send it over as a PDF. That these are my contact details. Thank you for your time. And now let's see if there are any questions. Last time, the when I was presenting this topic, questions were related to whether we are actually partnering with Stillfront companies and if we help each other, which is something that we actually do.
Mm-hmm.
And it's really nice, the synergies that we get out of this relationship inside the group. We even have co-productions together. We share contacts. I mean, it's really nice.
Uh, what would your advice number one for indie company who would decide to who would have a free-to-play game and who would decide to distribute them, and like the number one step for them, what would it be?
Well, the number one is to decide whether they would go on their own or they would be looking for a publisher, like a real publisher taking all of their rights, exclusive rights for the game. In that case, they would be expecting all of those tips that I mentioned to be done by this publisher. But in the case they prefer to go on their own, they should probably hire a biz dev. I mean, if there is a founder out of this small indie that's into these sales and that's something that he likes, okay, it would be nice for him to do that. But actually, there are people becoming interns in my team that didn't do that before, and it's just coming from their heart. They really like to be sales guys, and it's quite easy to find junior guys that won't take much money, or even they won't
Mhm.
expect payment, and they would be happy to do that just to become part of the game industry. So that's my tip.
Okay, but if they would decide to look for somebody big and strong, how you would advise them to do this? Like to go like for DevGAMM or something else?
Yeah, that's really one way, actually, to go to conferences. Sometimes they might get confused because there are too many conferences, too many contacts, from where to start and so on. I would say from all these editions that are especially for indies, to participate in, yeah, what was the name, indie, yeah, contest or something like that, where they can pitch
Mhm.
their company, and they should be really aware how to pitch it. I mean, I've seen so worse pitches, like they don't know what they're doing, like they're wasting everybody's time.
For
They
example.
should, yeah, but for example, they start to explain the history of their game design idea and how cool it was when one night they woke up and so on. It's good to look into how to do that. Just
Yeah.
10 slides, straightforward, the team, the game, the mechanics, and so on, to be really straightforward in order to find the right contacts. And what I've seen here in Bulgaria from the indies, because we have really nice environment of indies starting to grow, is that they actually try to contact us, the old companies. Like, we are 15 years on the market, there's another company 20 years on the market, and they ask us how we did that, can we share them contacts, which is super fine. We don't see them as competitors, so we give them contacts, which and ideas and tips, which could be also something they could do in their country.
Okay, so I guess we don't have like any questions and answers for now. So I think as we are already a bit late, we can finish on this now. Thank you very much for your very amazing tips.